got another massive contract, Mario. Another massive one. Francisco Lindor and the New York Mets yesterday agreed to a 10-year deal worth $341 million. Dude's getting paid 34.1 million a year. It's a lot of money, Mario. Now get this, and before I continue, this was reported by Jeff Passan. This is the third largest contract in MLB history, which we reported the other third largest contract in MLB history in Fernando Tatis before this broke it. Um, that was signed a month or two ago. This just got signed, and it's now the third largest in MLB history, behind Mookie Betts' Dodgers contract and Mike Trout's Angels contract. And get this, Mario. Get this. This is a fun fact for you guys. The Mets have never handed out a $200 million deal before, and they just handed out a deal to Francisco Lindor, $141 million over that limit. That's pretty crazy. See, it goes to show you that the new owner, Steve Cohen, is not messing around no more. He really wants to bring home a title to the Queens, not the damn Bronx. You damn pinstripes drive me nuts, dude. But he wants to bring one home to the damn Queens, not the Bronx, Queens. He's not even messing around, Mario. Uh, let obviously Francisco Lindor was a guy that's been rumored to leave Cleveland for a very long time. And before I continue, I also forgot to mention this deal is effective in 2022 because I guess when him and Carlos Carrasco came into New York, I guess they signed like a 1 year deal. I don't know how much it is in total, but I just know that this contract extension is effective next year in 2022. So let me get back to my point. Obviously Francisco Lindor was rumored to leave Cleveland for many, many years. They weren't, they made it to the World Series in 2016 and just weren't able to regain that product on the field after that. So I can understand why Francisco Lindor left Cleveland. He just wasn't happy with what they were doing, and as a result, now he's with the New York Mets. Now the New York Mets got everything they needed at this point. The question is, though, they're in a very, very competitive league in the National League. They're in a very competitive division in the National League East. Can they prove themselves to be worthy contenders of that title? You got the Dodgers. You got the Padres, who made very, very big moves. You know what I mean? Who else you got? You got the Cardinals. They made one big move that could potentially alter their future. Then you got your other division rivals, the Nationals, the Phillies, the Braves, and call me crazy for this, but I think they can compete in some way. The Marlins can too. If they can kind of get it going on four cylinders and prove themselves in the full season, they can compete too. So now you got all your players. You got Francisco Lindor, you got Carlos Carrasco, you got Jacob DeGrom, Noah Syndergaard. Um, who else you got? You got Pete Alonso. You got Brandon Nimmo, I think his name is. Yeah, they got Wilson Contreras. You got all these players, and you got Kevin Pillar too. They got Kevin Pillar. Now the question is, can you compete with these teams? And I think they can. I really think they're a worthy competitor. Obviously, they had to prove themselves for the last couple of years. It hasn't really gone in their favor, but now they made all these acquisitions and all these moves that now they can compete with the big dogs in the National League. So that's the biggest question that needs to be answered. Can you be like the other big dogs in the league? But with that being said, I think that question will be answered very simply. I think they will. I think they will be. Um. So with that being said, I think Francisco Lindor is obviously a huge addition to this team. He's one of the best shortstops, if not the best shortstop in the league. He competes with Xander Bogaerts, who's one of the better shortstops in the league. Help me out here, Mario. I know there's more. I know there's more shortstop in the league. Fernando
Tatis
Tatis,
was
he's a shortstop. That's right. What do you call it? Yeah, I think those are like the top three if you really look at it. But but yeah, I mean, I think he's a really good addition to the New York Mets, and now he's gonna be here for 10 more years. And get this, ready for you Mets fans out there? Here's a funny fact for you guys. By the time Francisco Lindor's 10-year contract is up, you guys are still gonna be paying Bobby Bonilla. I feel bad for you guys, but look. Well, best of luck to Francisco Lindor in New York. Best of luck to the New York Mets. And I'm actually pretty excited to see his team play. I'm not gonna lie to you, Mario.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, congratulations to Francisco Lindor. He absolutely deserves it. I mean, when you look at his record and his resume, it's already leading up to a Hall of Fame resume. I mean, four-time All-Star, two-time Silver Slug winner, two-time Gold Glove winner. He's only played for 6 years, so I mean, he's done a lot with 4 out of the 6 years that he's been playing. He has a career average of 285, which is absolutely amazing. Yeah, obviously there was no doubt how important he was to Cleveland, Francisco Lindor. Obviously, we looked at him as I believe he was in that category. He was just below that category of like the Mookie Betts class, the Aaron Judge, the help me out here. That class kind of came in. If you
Uh,
understand what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. I think Aaron Judge came a little after because Mookie Betts and
A little
Francisco
after,
were
right?
already there. Yeah.
Right, but but what I meant was not like what I meant was like when they all started like kind of spotlighting. Like obviously
Oh,
Aaron
okay, okay,
Judge's
okay. Yeah.
spotlight came early.
All right.
Obviously he was like a nomination for MVP in his rookie year. But like you look at that group of stars, it was Mookie Betts and Aaron Judge. And to be honest with you, I think Lindor is right in that conversation as well. I think he was right in there. And he's I think in that group of guys. And he's absolutely playing at a high level. No doubt about it. He deserves the contract that he's getting. I absolutely think he does. This contract, though, Nate, it doesn't surprise me because we knew the Mets were going to give him a long-term deal. We expected it to be a lot. Now I was surprised that this is the largest contract for any shortstop, and this is the third largest in MLB. I was surprised about that, but it just shows you how important that Francisco Lindor is to the league, how elite he is, because only very few guys get this type of extension. Mookie Betts, Mike Trout, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, that's all I can name.
Giancarlo Stanton got a big one.
Carl Stanton, yeah, Garrett Cole, obviously he got a big one too. But those are the only guys I could name. We just named seven guys right there the whole entire MLB. You know, and then for other shortstops like he's competing with, I think he's definitely a top three shortstop. I mean, you can make like Tim Anderson's a good shortstop, Trevor Story, Trey Turner, they're very good shortstops. Obviously, you said Xander Bogarts. Um,
And Fernando
yeah,
Tatis.
So I believe you can put him in that top three.
I like
This.
that.
Here's what I'll say. I think Fernando Tatis, in my opinion, I think he's gonna be number one. Trevor Story number two, and I'll put Lindor at three. That's the way I put it. Somebody else can have it different, but that's the way I like to put it as. But without a doubt, Francisco Lindor is definitely an elite player in this game. Without a doubt, he is. Without a doubt. And I'm happy that the Mets did this, because I know it's going to affect them like cap wise, like in the long run, like you mentioned. The amount of time they're going to have to pay off his contract is going to be a lot, but he is worth it. And so I'm happy that the Mets did this because for the longest time, the Mets were kind of considered the second to the Yankees, and they still are. Let's be real here. There's no way that the Mets are ever going to get to that high standard of the Yankees. Why? Because the Yankees have been the Yankees for so long. Just the history of the Yankees has led them to becoming one of the most richest franchises in all of sports. So I completely understand it. But now the Mets have a very good team that can compete with the Yankees. And it's not even just about the Yankees. Obviously, you got the Dodgers, you got the Braves, the Padres. Obviously, they're going to have to compete with all those teams in the National League, the Nationals. You got to compete with all these teams. I understand that. But the one thing is, it builds a bigger market to New York than just the Yankees. Think about it this way. The way I like to think about it, Nate, is this. A lot of people who are Yankee fans, right? It goes from generations. So when you ask people like why, when you ask most people why are you a Yankees fan, the first thing they'll tell you is, well, my family grew up watching the Yankees. My grandparents grew up watching I don't even know, Joe DiMaggio or whatever, right? Their parents ended up growing up watching Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and them, correct? But that's how the fandom starts. It starts with generations going down to them. So it goes from Babe Ruth to Joe DiMaggio to like Derry Jeter. You know what I'm saying? It goes through generations. The Mets have that now. It could start with this team right here with the Pete Alonso, with Francisco Lindor, Jacob DeGrom, Noah Syndergaard. It could start with this right here, and then generations down the line, you start building more Met fans. You know, so I'm glad that I'm glad that the Mets are really in win now mode because it's going to set them up better in the future to have a more illustrious franchise. Maybe not to the level of the Yankees because I'm going to be honest, I think that's impossible to reach. I don't care what franchise you are in sports, I think it's impossible to reach the level that the Yankees are in. I just think it's absolutely impossible. But the Mets are in that direction to build an illustrious franchise, you know? And I'm glad they're doing that. So, I mean, with that being said, going back to Francisco Lindor, I think he is definitely at the start of that expectation to come. And with, again, one more thing, Nate, with high contracts comes high expectations. They're going to be expecting a lot from Lindor these next 10 years that he's getting signed. 10 years, right? It's a 10-year contract.
Yeah, yeah.
So these next 10 years, you're getting the big money. You got to perform like big money. And no doubt in my mind, I think Francisco Lindor can perform like big money for a very, very long time to come, as long as he stays healthy. So with that being said, congratulations to Francisco Lindor. I think it's much deserved, and best of luck to him in New York.